What's up, everybody? I thought this week I'd upload something a little different from previous weeks, and this is my wish list of Onyx players that I want to see in NBA 2K15 that can actually happen in the game. Now, the way I know that they can happen is because all these players are searchable on the market, so that means that there is a possibility that they can be on there. Like if you try to search somebody like, I don't know, Peja Stojakovic, he's not going to be on there because they're never going to put him on there, and that's just how it is. But if you've noticed in previous weeks, all the players that they've added through Onyx players have been searchable on the market throughout the entire life of 2K15. So based on that, I made a list of players that I want to see, and to start it off, I'm going to use some honorable mentions. I have two, starting with 05-06 Leandro Barbosa, or the Brazilian Blur. Now, he won 6th Man of the Year this year, put up some pretty good stats, and yeah, he was pretty good that year. My second honorable mention candidate would be 08-09 Jason Terry, another 6th Man of the Year guy, averaged about almost 20 points a game off the bench, so that was pretty impressive. But the reason why these guys are honorable mention is because they don't really fit into the MyTEAM mold. Like, these guys aren't gonna be people that you're gonna put in your lineups when people are using the Durants, the Jordans, the Kobes, the LeBrons. So that's the only reason why those guys would be honorable mention. Now, to start off the real list, I have 08-09 Danny Granger on the Pacers. Now, Danny Granger, he put up about 25.8 points, 5.1 rebounds, 2.7 assists, a steal, 1.4 blocks, and shot 40% from 3. Won Most Improved Player that year, was an All-Star, and actually in NBA 2K10 there was an achievement for Danny Granger. If you scored 30 points, got 3 threes, and had 2 blocks, you'd get an achievement with Danny Granger. My next player would be 07-08 Manu Ginobili, who, as we all know, played for the Spurs. Off the bench, averaged 19.5 points, 4.8 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.5 steals, 46% from the field, and 40% from 3. And kind of like Leandro Barbosa and Jason Terry, he won 6th Man of the Year, and he was actually on the All-NBA third team as well, so that's actually very impressive. Another guy on the list, I would say 05-06 Chauncey Billups. He is searchable on the market, but he's not on an NBA roster, which, you know, kind of is a little suspicious, so you know he's going to be an Onyx player eventually. But I would say 05-06 Chauncey Billups is the way to go. 18.5 points a game, 8.6 assists, 43% from 3, 89.4% from the line. And that year he was an All-Star, made the All-NBA second team and All-Defensive second team, and led the league in offensive rating at 127. Offensive rating is just the amount of points a player generates per 100 possessions. So he led the league in that, and that's very good. Next guy on the list would be 08-09 Chris Paul. Now, the reason why he is not higher on this list is because we already have a very good Chris Paul in this game. Chris Paul, I think, is one of the 90 rated players that start off gold. So I think a 08-09 Chris Paul couldn't be rated higher than a 97, I don't think. But, you know, we already have a 90 rated player in the game, as opposed to like a Chauncey Billups. We don't have him in the game yet. So I guess that'd be the only reason why he's at number 9 on the list. But Chris Paul, 22.8 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 11 assists, 2.8 steals, and he shot 50% from the field. He was the runner-up in MVP voting, led the league in assists and steals, and was actually on the All-NBA second team. So, well, never mind. He wasn't MVP runner-up if he was on the All-NBA second team. So, because that year Dwayne Wade had a really beastly year. So he was the point guard on the All-NBA first team, Kobe, and then LeBron. So, yeah, Tough year, man. Tough year. Next on the list would be 0304 Jermaine O'Neal. Now, like I said, like I said about Chris Paul, Jermaine O'Neal is higher on the list than Chris Paul because he is not even on the rosters. He's nowhere on the market at all. So just getting any kind of Jermaine O'Neal would be, you know, a refreshing kind of addition to the packs that we have. So 0304, Jermaine O'Neal averaged 20.1 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks. Was an all-star and made the All-NBA second team. Was really one of the best centers in the league at the time. Also, next on the list, I would have to say 68 to 69, Earl Monroe. Now, Earl Monroe is in the game, but he only has an 80-something rating. So, I think having another higher rated version of Earl Monroe would do wonders for the 2K Legends. Now, Earl Monroe averaged 25.8 points and only 4.9 assists, but go to a senior citizen's home and ask somebody about Earl Monroe. He was really a wizard with the basketball, so he was really good at this time, and yeah, Earl Monroe. Next on the list, 0102 Paul Pierce. Now, of course, we have Paul Pierce in the game. He's on the Wizards, but what is he rated? Like an 81, and that doesn't really quite capture Paul Pierce at all. 0102 Paul Pierce, 26.1 points a game, 6.9 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 1.9 steals, a block, and he shot 40% from three. Was on the All-NBA third team and was third in points per game. So, again, another guy who's probably going to be an Onyx player sometime soon. So, be on the lookout for that. Next on the list would be 1961 to 1962 Elgin Baylor, who averaged 38.3 points, 18.6 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. Now, he's also on the rosters, but that's about 31-year-old Elgin Baylor after he had his serious knee injury. But this season was actually really, really interesting because he was actually doing military service while in the NBA. So that was pretty cool. So he would do military service, then go play NBA game, drop 38 points and 19 rebounds, and then go back to his military service. So big ups to Elgin Baylor, one of the pioneers of the NBA, one of the first high flyers. And he definitely deserves an Onyx card and is actually in the top 5. Now, as we get into our last 4 spots here, the number 4 spot, I put 61 to 62 Wilt Chamberlain, who averaged 50.4 points, 25.7 rebounds, 2.4 assists, which absurd stats. So, obviously had the 100-point game this season, the 55 rebound game this season, and we do have a 70 to 71 Wilt Chamberlain, but he played a completely different style. On the Lakers, he was a little more passive, but on the Warriors, he was always in scoring mode, score. But I guess players kind of play like that anyway with the Wilt Chamberlain that we do have now, so that's why he's only at number 4 on the list. That and the fact that he already has a card. Number 3 on the list, 78-79 George Gervin. Now, that Bulls George Gervin on the market is just pathetic. Like, that's just sad. Just that having that represent George Gervin. Like, nah. George Gervin was nice back in the day. The Iceman. 29.6 points, 5 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.7 steals, 1.1 blocks, 54.1% from the field, and a sexy finger roll to go with it. Number 2, I have Bill Walton from 1977 to 1978. Averaged 18.9 points, 13.2 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and 2.5 blocks. Won MVP this year and won the championship the year prior, I believe, and was on the Trailblazers team, that was a really beastly team, actually. If Bill Walton didn't get hurt, they would have had a really, really nice team for years to come. So, definitely got to put that on there. The reason why he's not number one, I never really saw him play. Obviously, I'm not 40 years old, so I didn't see him play like that. So, it's hard for me to get excited about a guy like Bill Walton. Although I do understand his significance to the game and his importance, and I see what he did in his time in the league. Number one guy, it's got to be 03-04 Kevin Garnett. MVP Kevin Garnett on the Timberwolves. 24.2 points a game, 13.9 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 2.2 blocks. Now, we do have a Ruby version of Kevin Garnett, but that's not... I want that athleticism. I want the shot blocking. I want the versatility of that Minnesota Timberwolves Kevin Garnett. So I want a much better rated Kevin Garnett out there, and the best way to do that is with the Onyx version. And I'm sick of using a silver Bill Walton. Like, that's a disgrace. I need that Onyx Bill Walton. I need that 1978 Bill Walton out there. He's a beast. So that's about it for the Onyx players. But thanks for watching and stay tuned.